Hi, this is Matt with AppliancePartsPros.com. In this video, we're going to show you how to troubleshoot the top 4 reasons why your gas range is not heating evenly. Stick around to the end of the video for some important safety tips that most people don't even know about. But before we begin, we're going to make sure the appliance is unplugged or the circuit breakers are off so there's no chance of electrocution. Also, make sure you turn off the gas valve at the wall. The first thing we're going to check is the oven igniter. It lights the gas in the oven. The most common type of oven igniter is the glow bar type, with either a round or square body. It has a ceramic body with an element that glows hot to ignite the gas. They usually have a cage to protect the element, as it's very fragile and breaks easily. They're usually mounted on the bake or broil oven burners. If your gas range isn't heating evenly, it could be that the oven igniter is getting weak and is ready to fail. To get to the igniter, you'll have to open the oven door, remove the racks, the oven bottom, and the flame spreader. You'll first want to look at the igniter to make sure it hasn't come loose and it's mounted properly. If it isn't, it may not ignite the gas. If you notice that the igniter is glowing but isn't glowing white hot, that means it's getting too weak to open the gas safety valve. There's a short period, as it's getting older, where the oven igniter may be able to open the oven safety valve once or twice, but then it will get too weak to open it again. If you aren't sure, you can test how many amps it's drawing with a multimeter that has a clamp-on amp meter. Make sure it's set to amps. There are a few different designs of igniters that are rated at different amps. You have the round igniters and the blue square ones that replace some round igniters. They're used with oven safety valves that are rated at 2.5 to 3 amps. Then you have the regular square igniters that are used with valves rated at 3.3 to 3.6 amps. You can see the amp rating on the oven safety valve itself. So temporarily turn the power back on, but leave the gas off. Then clamp the amp meter around one of the wires from the igniter and turn the oven on. If the igniter isn't drawing enough amps, it'll have to be replaced. Usually the igniter will not read all the way up to 3.3 amps due to age, and they can read even less and still open the safety valve. But anything less than 3.0 for the square igniters or 2.2 for the round ones is questionable and may not open the safety valve in the required time. If you need to order a part, simply go to AppliancePartsPros.com and type in your model number. Find your part on the easy-to-read diagrams and match it to the number below. Click on the part if you want to see more pictures of the item or watch its repair video. You can also scroll down to see DIY stories from customers like you, or ask a question in the Q&A section. Once you're ready, you can add the part to your cart. It's that easy. Most orders will arrive within 2 business days. Now we can check the oven temperature sensor. It tells the control board the temperature in the oven. Oven temperature sensors are a type of resistor in which the ohms reading will change as the temperature does. They're usually a small metal rod with a mounting plate and 2 wires. Oven temperature sensors are usually mounted in the upper left or right corner of the oven, but in order to test it, you'll have to go around to the back of the range. If the gas range isn't heating evenly, it could be that the oven temperature sensor is bad and is sending the wrong ohms reading to the control board. The most common sensors should read around 1080 ohms at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. If you aren't sure, you can always look at the tech sheet for your range. The sensor can fail in 2 ways. If the ohms reading is off, it could cause the oven temperature to be different than what you selected. Or if it's totally failed and you don't get a reading at all, then the range won't start. So set your meter to ohms. Our meter automatically detects whatever ohms are coming in, but you may need to set your meter to read the proper ohm level. Once you have access to the sensor, remove the wires and touch a test probe to each terminal. If the ohms reading is way off or you don't get a reading at all, it'll have to be replaced. The next thing to check is the oven door gasket. It seals the oven door to keep the hot air in. Oven door gaskets are usually made out of rubber for regular ovens or high temperature fiber for self-cleaning ovens. Door gaskets are usually mounted on the inner panel of the door or on the front frame of the body. If the oven door won't close, it could be that the oven door gasket is torn or damaged in a way that's stopping the door from closing properly. Open up the door and visually inspect the gasket. If it's damaged in any way that's blocking the door from closing, it'll have to be replaced. As always, guys, hit those like and subscribe buttons now to help support us making more of these videos. Last thing to check is the oven control board. It controls the functions of the range. The oven control board is usually a computer board. It collects all the data from the sensors and switches and controls the functions of the range. It's usually mounted in the middle of the control panel on the range. If the control board has failed and isn't sending power to the igniter, the gas range won't heat evenly. There are a lot of different control boards out there, so we can't show you how to test them all. You're going to have to grab your tech sheet and follow the diagnostics or error codes to see if it's gone bad. In this example, you'd have to enter the diagnostic mode and test the bake relay to make sure it's sending power to the igniter. If it fails the test, you'll have to replace it. Now here are those safety tips we mentioned earlier. A lot of people are still using aluminum foil to protect their ranges from spills and grease buildup. Although it may seem like a good idea, you may not be aware of the dangers it can pose. Firefighters respond to over 170,000 kitchen fires per year, and failing to keep the range clean is linked to more than 13,000 of those. On electric cooktops, many people cover the drip pans with foil so they don't have to clean them, but this can cause moisture retention, making them rust even faster. It can also block airflow, reflect heat back into the elements, damaging them, or if the foil touches the element, it could be a shock hazard or start a fire. On gas cooktops, wrapping the grates, burner heads, or drip pans in foil can cause heat retention, carbon monoxide poisoning, as well as starting a fire. In general, you'll want to avoid lining the oven with foil because it could block air passages, causing heat buildup that causes poor cooking and increases the dangers of a fire. If the foil gets too hot, it could melt, damaging the oven lining or starting a fire. With electric ovens, putting foil under the element could cause heat to be reflected back into the oven, overcooking the food and possibly damaging the element. If the foil touches the element, it could become a shock hazard. In gas ovens, blocking air passages could affect the burner operation, causing poor cooking and carbon monoxide poisoning. You also don't want to completely cover an oven rack, as this will disrupt the airflow and cause cooking problems. You should only use a small pan on a rack several inches below the food you're cooking to catch drips. Due to these dangers, you don't want to use aluminum foil to try to keep the range clean. You should clean the oven and underneath the cooktop regularly to prevent grease buildup. So keep the foil off the range, keep it clean, and keep an eye on it while you're cooking. Once you take care of the problem, you can plug the appliance in and turn the gas back on. Thanks for joining us for another troubleshooting video brought to you by AppliancePartsPros.com. Remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons now, and if you have any questions or want to share how your repair went, leave a comment down below.